I think they were in a world of trouble. Too many distractions, not enough consistency on the offensive side of the ball. Even though Frank Gore has been considered ultimately reliable, he has gotten up there in age. You wonder how much he has left. Your receiver corps, in terms of the continuity with Colin Kaepernick, is still a question mark. Obviously, the offensive line, people has a lot of faith in them, but Colin Kaepernick needing to develop some accuracy, some cohesion with his wide receivers as well, is a factor in and of itself, which we saw and witnessed during the preseason. When you combine that with Bowman being out, now with Aldon Smith being out, and then this kind of stuff happens, and who knows what's going to come down the pike in terms of a ruling from NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, particularly with the new rules on domestic violence, calling for an automatic 6-game suspension for a first offense and a lifetime ban, arguably, for a second offense. This is just some precarious circumstances that the San Francisco 49ers are dealing with. When you combine all of that with the fact that despite the troubles due to injuries that the Arizona Cardinals have struggled with, they are still a team to be reckoned with. You look at the reigning defending Super Bowl champions led by the Legion of Doom, who haven't had such distractions. You combine that with St. Louis and what their defense is capable of doing for you on the field, and despite the fact that their offense was questionable, they still managed to win 7 games over each of the last 2 seasons. This is not a division where you can afford to have distractions and think it's not going to have a profound impact on your level of productivity. And the fact is that when you look at the San Francisco 49ers right now, with Bowman, with Smith, now with possibly McDonald, with questions in this secondary, with some of the turnovers that have taken place in the last 2 years, it's just a lot to ask Jim Harbaugh to overcome, despite the fact that he's done an exceptional job in guiding them to 3 consecutive NFC Championship games over the last 3 years, including 1 Super Bowl appearance. It's just too much to ask right now. I think the kind of things that's happening with San Francisco, I think this is going to lead to their demise for this particular season.
Oh. Coach.
He makes some good points. I do think they've been hit. They also lost Glenn Dorsey. He's another inside player. So the integrity of this defense has been attacked due to injuries, obviously suspensions, and free agency. Dante Whitner left from the back end. Yes. Okay, so you generally build defenses through the middle. And right now they've been attacked there. And are they vulnerable? I know this. All of a sudden now guys that have been backup players or role players are put in a position where they have to play 60 to 70 snaps. You don't know the outcome of that yet. So the flip side of it, what do you have to do? You have to lean more on your offense. And right now, this offense, now this is the preseason, I realize that, it's not been hitting on all cylinders right now. They've got some talent over there, but they're going to really have to be the forefront of this football team early. This team last year scored about 25 points a game offensively, which is okay. Defensively, they only gave up 18. That number is going to go up some, especially when you look at who they play. And that has a lot to do with how you play. I always say it's not who you play, it's how you play the day you play. Okay, and they start off with the Dallas Cowboys. And we can mock the Dallas Cowboys all we want, but the one thing we do know they can do, they can put points on the board. They averaged about 27 points last year. Okay, they played the Chicago Bears, about 27 points. They played the Denver Broncos, 37 points. So Philadelphia Eagles, 27 points. So now all of a sudden, they might be in some games where this defense allows more than 18 or 20 points, could get into the high 20s. Now you're putting a lot of pressure on your offense to say, you know what, we got to open the envelope up a little bit more and start tossing this thing around because we got to score some points.
Depending on what facts emerge in this case, Ray McDonald could become Roger Goodell's first test case with his new domestic violence punishments.
Right.
And then we will find out, as I brought up the other day, if Roger Goodell's actions speak as loudly as his words did last week. So just a thought.
Sure.
Okay? But now back to the football field. I'm surprised Stephen A. Smith has jumped, I think, completely off the bandwagon. Is that what I just heard? Because you've been driving that bandwagon for a long time. You were off the bandwagon, both feet off on the ground, right?
I'm very, very worried, Skip. I'm just very worried I don't have the same faith. I mean, that's all I could say at this moment. By the time we make our predictions Wednesday and Friday, or actually Friday, I may be completely off the bandwagon. I'm leaning in that direction. I'll admit that.
Go ahead and get off, because there ain't nothing going to change between now and Friday.
Ain't nobody getting healthy.
I'm with you, Coach. And Stephen A., now all of the pressure falls back on a Colin Kaepernick who, to me, through the preseason was going RG3, as in Where are you, Cap? Well, who are you? What happened to you? What about that guy 2 years ago that we loved who carried the 49ers all the way to the Super Bowl? Down the stretch last year, we didn't see enough of that guy. We saw it in Green Bay for sure, but then now in the preseason, 4 times we saw, well, actually 3 times we saw Colin Kaepernick in the first-team offense. We didn't see a flash of what we used to see from the 49er offense. So I'm saying, man, this is starting to look like, in a tough division, a pretty ordinary football team. With all those losses you guys detailed on defense, I love the head coach. I believe in the head coach. I like the quarterback, but I do need to see a little more of him this year, and certainly more than I saw in the preseason. So I'm saying that with the schedule they play, when you have to go to the Broncos and go to the Saints and obviously go to the Seahawks again in your division, and with St. Louis without Bradford still a threat, and Arizona with in and out Carson Palmer still a huge threat, it's going to be tough, man. This is going to be a rough ride for those 49ers, Stephen A. And they could get heck, at this point they've had so many losses, there's a threat that they could lose the opener in Dallas. Isn't there a threat? I don't know.
Well, yeah, I'm not. Well, if obviously if the defense can't hold up now, they can help their defense because they still have the ability to run the football, and that keeps your defense off the field. That can keep the game down. But all of a sudden, if the Cowboys find a way to get up a couple scores,
yep, that'd be
now
tough.
The game plan of running the ball, it's out the window. And now you got to throw it. And that's kind of important. I think what they'll do, they'll lean more on Cap's legs than maybe his arm.
Maybe.
And create some things where he can get on the edge and give him the option of maybe if it's not open, go ahead and run and go make some big plays with your legs. But right now, this team, I still think they're a playoff team. They're good enough. Oh, yeah, they're good enough.